What if I told you that humility and boldness, two seemingly contrasting qualities, are the cornerstones of effective leadership? Picture the perfect leader. What traits come to mind? Perhaps courage, vision, decisiveness. Now how about humility? It might seem counterintuitive, but humility is an essential ingredient for leadership. It's about acknowledging that you don't have all the answers, and that's okay. However, humility alone doesn't make a leader. It's the pairing of this trait with boldness that creates a truly effective leader. Boldness is about taking risks, pushing boundaries, and making tough decisions. But how can one be both humble and bold? Think of it like a balancing act. On one side, you have humility, the ability to listen, learn, and accept feedback. On the other, boldness, the courage to take action, even when the path is uncertain. As paradoxical as it may seem, the most influential leaders master the art of being both humble and bold. Let's dive deeper into the concept of the humility-boldness spectrum in leadership. Imagine a line. On one end we have humility, on the other, boldness. It's not a matter of choosing one over the other, but rather finding a balance between the two. The best leaders are able to navigate this spectrum, embodying humility when it's time to listen and learn, and boldness when it's time to make decisions and take action. But how does one find this balance? It starts with self-awareness. Leaders need to understand their own strengths and weaknesses and be open to feedback. They also need to be adaptable, adjusting their approach based on the situation. For example, in a crisis, a leader may need to lean more towards boldness, making quick, decisive actions. In other situations, they may need to exercise more humility, taking the time to gather information, listen to others, and reflect before making a decision. This is not an easy balance to achieve, and it requires ongoing effort and self-reflection. Remember, being a great leader isn't about being perfect. It's about striving to improve and grow. So where do you fall on the humility-boldness spectrum? Like the video and tell us in the comments where you are watching from. Consider Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. An icon of leadership, his presidency was marked by a striking blend of humility and boldness that set him apart. Abraham Lincoln's humility was evident in his willingness to listen to different viewpoints. Unlike many leaders of his time, he recognized the value of diverse perspectives and was not afraid to surround himself with those who disagreed with him. His cabinet was famously referred to as a team of rivals, a testament to his belief that effective leadership required understanding and considering all sides of an issue. But humility wasn't Lincoln's only strength. He was also a bold leader, unafraid to take decisive action even in the face of intense opposition. This boldness was most evident in his commitment to ending slavery. Despite the risk to his political career and the threat of a nation divided, Lincoln stood firm in his conviction that slavery was morally wrong and must be abolished. This boldness, however, was always tempered by his humility. He acknowledged his mistakes and learned from them, a trait that made him not only a resilient leader, but also a respected one. In Lincoln, we see how humility and boldness can coexist in leadership. He listened and learned, yet he also stood firm in his convictions. He was humble enough to acknowledge his errors, yet bold enough to take on the enormous challenge of ending slavery. Lincoln's leadership style, a blend of humility and boldness, played a crucial role in his success as a leader. Now, let's shift our focus to Nelson Mandela, the former president of South Africa. Nelson Mandela, an emblem of resilience, spent 27 grueling years in prison, fighting against the brutal apartheid regime. His story is one of valor and determination, but it's also a testament to the power of humility and boldness in leadership. Let's take a look at Mandela's humility first. After his release from prison, he was elected as the President of South Africa in 1994. However, he made a conscious decision to only serve one term. He believed that his role was to set the country on the path of democracy and reconciliation, not to cling to power. Mandela's humility shone through in his commitment to promoting unity and reconciliation. He invited his former prison guards to his presidential inauguration, a clear demonstration of his commitment to healing and forgiveness. Now, let's talk about his boldness. Mandela was unyielding in his fight against apartheid. He stood up against a system that was fundamentally unjust, risking his own life in the process. Despite numerous threats and hardships, he never wavered from his commitment to equality and justice. His leadership was a delicate balance of humility and boldness. He was humble enough to know his limitations and bold enough to challenge an oppressive system. He was willing to listen, to learn, and to forgive. but he was also unafraid to stand up for what he believed in. Mandela's ability to balance humility and boldness made him a transformative figure in world history. So, what can we learn from these leaders? Well, it's clear that both Abraham Lincoln and Nelson Mandela exemplified the delicate balance between boldness and humility. Lincoln, with his audacious vision for a united America, wasn't afraid to make tough calls. Yet he remained humble, always willing to listen and learn. Mandela, on the other hand, boldly dismantled apartheid with unyielding resolve, but never lost his humility, recognizing the inherent worth of every individual. These great leaders show us that boldness without humility can lead to arrogance, while humility without boldness may result in missed opportunities. The two traits are not mutually exclusive, but rather they complement each other. As leaders, it's crucial to mirror this balance. Reflect on your own leadership style. Are you bold enough to take risks and make tough decisions? Are you humble enough to acknowledge your mistakes and learn from them? Remember, great leadership isn't about being the loudest in the room or having all the answers. It's about being bold enough to take on challenges and humble enough to listen, learn, and grow. Before we wrap up, I want to extend an invitation. We've delved into the paradox of leadership, explored the humility-boldness spectrum, and analyzed the leadership styles of Abraham Lincoln and Nelson Mandela. But our journey doesn't end here. In our upcoming video, we'll be exploring more great leaders and the unique qualities they bring to the table. We hope you'll join us as we continue to dissect the complex world of leadership. So don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell. You certainly don't want to miss out on part 2 of our leadership series. Embrace the paradox of leadership. Be bold enough to take on challenges and humble enough to listen, learn, and grow. Remember, leadership isn't about being the loudest or having all the answers. It's about making a difference, one bold, humble step at a time. Until then, woman up.